So I have convinced myself that, well, I need yet another clock. Now, I get the argument here. Majority of people have replaced having a clock in their home, well, with their cell phone. You look at your phone if you need to know what the weather is. You need to look at your phone if you need to know what the time is. You look at your phone for when you have to wake up in the morning and it's ringing to wake you up. Here's the thing though. First off, in order for your phone to, well, wake you up, it should be somewhere next to you. That way you can hit snooze if you need to. I'm sorry, you need to. That way you could hit snooze. Problem then there is all the notifications and the messages that come to you throughout the night, well, they ring in your ear or they vibrate on the side of your bed. One way or another, it's rather annoying. It's also probably something not great about having a phone next to your head 24/7. That being said, we have clocks, or we used to have clocks, but I guess people at some point just stopped buying these. I, however, well, I like to keep buying things. So I bought one. So what I got here is the Oregon Scientific PRYSMA in blue. Now this comes in also green and this comes in also red. Apart from the fact that this changes the color of the little side piece over there, it also changes the projection on it. And yes, that's what this does. This projects the time, date, and, well, weather and temperature onto somewhere, depending on where you shine this wonderful little piece over here. Now, cool thing about this is that you can take this and rotate it and point it, well, right at the camera, or, you know, point it a bunch of other different places and so forth, and it could essentially shine wherever you would, well, like it to shine. You can also rotate the display on it 180 degrees, which just, well, helps things along. Now, the unit, without any sales or anything else like that, costs $89.99 over from Oregon Scientific. So what do you get for the $89? Well, get the actual clock unit. You get an external remote that can be placed somewhere to help measure the outside temperature. And, well, you get a box. You get the batteries that go along with the remote, and you also get a power adapter for the actual thing. I'm not using it, but it is a substantially long power adapter. I'm just running it off of my keyboard over there for the sake of this video. Now, it's a projection clock. It is also an alarm clock. Keeps track of the weather and the date. Now, think about it. What do you do when you first wake up in the morning? The alarm clock rings, you hit snooze, you roll about in bed for a little bit, you find your phone, you go, all right, let's figure out what it looks like and feels like outside so I can figure out what I gotta wear for work. Thing is that this simplifies all of that because you wake up, you hit the alarm, and all the information for the day appears on your screen, or on the wall, or on the ceiling, or, well, wherever you pointed this thing. So now, before you ever had to grab your phone and really connect with the outside world, you already know what the day is going to look like, what the day is going to feel like. So a couple of things here. We have our indoor temperature, we have our outdoor temperature, we get our clock, 12 and 24-hour format supported. Over here we get to find out what's going on with the weather for the day. This is essentially a weather forecast, and then it'll update the show if it's going to be raining, snowing, cloudy, or just sunny and awesome. Right now it's unfortunately cloudy here. Granted, it is substantially warm. Now, this little piece technically isn't supposed to sit right next to the thing. Really, what I should do is walk all the way out here. In fact, I'm going to go put this out my window. And now we should get a little bit more of an accurate representation of what the temperature feels like outside and what it feels like here in the office. Or at least wherever you would end up putting this. Now, technically, this unit has an atomic clock which works completely automatically, updates to the date and the time, picks the correct time zone and everything like that off of radio signals. However, you may have some issues with these radio signals if, like me, you have this unit sitting, well, for the purpose of this video, directly in front of some electronic devices, be it computers, and then there's also a sound system and a radio literally to the left of us. So it's not having a great time getting its signals and everything through. However, put this into the ideal and appropriate environments, and when you put it into your house and you place this, let's say, onto the nightstand next to your bed, it probably will not be right next door to a computer various other devices that may block and have some interference with the signal. The other fun, cool things about that is that this supports up to 5 channels for that remote. So you could actually get more than one of the different remotes for this and then keep track of the temperature, let's say in the basement of the house, up in the top floor in the attic, right outside. And you can really start to have fun with this and start to really keep track of the different temperature changes. Perfect if you have animals that need to maintain a certain temperature in a certain room of the house, but then you have, still the outdoors, and then you still want to know what the temperature is inside your room where it should be normal and not a little bit warmer like it is in, let's say, the reptile room of the house. Whatever the case is, but these are great for that. Again, supports up to 5 channels. Switching through them, extremely simple. There's a plus and minus buttons back here, and I hit my plus there, and I'm out to channel 2, 3, 4, and 5, and now I only have channel 1 set up and active, so that's the only one that it's going to pick up. But again, it does support up to 5 channels. Operating range temperature-wise on here ranges from -4 degrees Fahrenheit up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. I think if you have past 140 degrees Fahrenheit, you have some serious concerns. Dual alarm functions on this unit, so you can set... Oh, I hit the date. But now you can see what the date display looks like. So, first alarm, second alarm, you could turn both on at the same time, or have them all off. Dual alarm function, more so, it does have a snooze function. The button is right on top. It is touch sensitive, not an actual button. And it does go up to 8 minutes of snooze time. As I mentioned, the projection on this is in blue, however, well, we could see that on the bit of my hand. It does have options for this to be in red and options for this to be in green. Very simple, the PRYSMA B stands for blue, and subsequently R would be red and G would be green. They all cost the same. There is also a black and white unit, which I saw is on sale right now on Amazon for, I want to say it was $69.99, so it's a little bit cheaper than this. So I'm going to unplug this thing now. And let's take a look at really this thing all around here. So this is a texturized rubber feel to this, while this is very nice smooth plastics over here. Gloss on the front, matte black on the back. Unit twists all around. And then you also have the option to change the display here and rotate that 180 degrees depending on which way is the most comfortable for you. Back panel has pretty much all of the buttons and the options that this thing is going to have. Temperature, clock, alarm, plus or minus. If you don't go to any one of these settings, we'll just go through all the different channels. However, if you're in the clock, for example, or the alarm, you'd be able to set your things with the plus and minus there. Down over here, we have the power cord, which would plug in with our mini USB. Reset button, the change from the Celsius to the Fahrenheit, the light button we were hitting before, and here's that 180 degree flip if you for some reason need to change the projection display. Overall, an awesome little unit, and I'll grab some shots kind of in the dark somewhere so you guys can see what it looks like when it actually projects onto the wall. Overall, I feel like this is going to be a pretty fun little tech gadget. So what do I think about it? Overall, I like it. I think it's pretty fun. I think it's pretty cool. It definitely works great at night. You see the time, you see what the temperature is outside. You're like, all right, I know what's going on. Couple of things came to mind though. Assuming that this thing is something that's intended to go off when you either hit the snooze button or the alarm goes off or you keep it on all the time, it's primarily visible at night. But chances are, unless you work the night shift, you're waking up in the morning, you probably have windows, the sun's coming in, and you can't see it. And I feel like that kind of takes a little bit away from, well, the usefulness of this projection clock. Apart from that, it's cool and it's nice at night and so forth. And I'm sure that if you just use it to kind of have it around the house and you tend to go out at night very often, maybe you have a dog, you go take the dog for a walk and so forth, it's great to be able to have it somewhere in like the living room maybe where you walk by and you're like, let me look, oh, that's what the weather is outside. Great. Good to know. Apart from that, the blue numbers, the blue lettering is extremely crisp. I did read that there was some complaints from people that were really shining it over a substantially far, distance or a very, very, very close distance, and they were having some issues with how clear and crisp the letters were. I played around with it last night. You guys have it in the video. That's me shining it up onto the ceiling. And I did end up putting it a little bit onto the side of where I have a cabinet that is much, much, much closer to me, and it had absolutely no trouble kind of scaling the text and the images down, the text and the numbers down and showing it to me on a much closer area. So I don't know if maybe anything was updated with the lens on that or something like that, but for me it worked great. The actual font face on the clock, the actual lighting on the clock itself, crisp, phenomenal. You can easily see it across the room. For nighttime, I actually think that the 3 different light settings that it has on it are ample. And the very lowest backlight setting, I mean, for me, I could barely read it at night. So I mean, they definitely covered the bases there for making it ultra bright and making it ultra dull so that it doesn't bother and shine in your face at night. Definitely a plus. I would have loved to see some sort of battery backup on this thing. Or if I could just run it off a battery. I can't right now, and I mean, I don't have a lot of outages or anything like that in my house, but I can imagine that people in other areas may, and this could be a little bit annoying. And I did read that there was some reviews where people weren't exactly ecstatic about not having any bit of battery backup. However, I'm fine without that. It would have been a cool thing to have just because it would have given me a little bit more flexibility on where I can place the unit, because I'm not a big fan of having extension cords and wires halfway throughout the house just to put something in a cool place. Speaking of putting something into a cool specific place and having more flexibility, yes, it's nice that you can flip the projection that comes out 180 degrees, which helps on depending on where you want to put it and how you want to look at it. Would have been nice to also be able to rotate that lens a little bit and the image to how you would like it to be. And the reason that I'm saying that is that right now I have it placed on a little bit of an angle. So yes, I could read the letters and the numbers that it's displaying to me, but they're a little bit sideways. And it's not the end of the world, but I mean, it would have been cool to just be able to rotate that a little bit to have it still display perfect, even if you place the device at a little bit of a weird angle. Now, no matter how hard I tried, I could never get this thing to pick up an RF signal. I opened up the remote, I hit reset, I tried to turn the RF search function on and off. The LED blinks twice when it comes on, blinks 3 times when it comes off. No matter what I did, I could not get it to pick up the time on its own. I left it overnight, it sat there, plugged in, couldn't find it, woke up at like 1700 hours, decided, all right, it's time to change it. So I manually set mine and it's fine. It does pick up the weather just fine. It does pick up my outside temperature perfectly fine. So it just never connected to get my time and my date. Now, doing a little bit of reading about this online, I get that so many different things can play into its reception and the signal strength and the signal quality, and it's very possible that I just will probably have way too many electronic devices in my house. That said, I definitely recommend you guys check this out if you are looking for a cool projection clock that also happens to display the temperature and the weather forecast. So I'll put links down below to where you can get this product over from Oregon Scientific specifically. I'll also add an Amazon link so you can check out some of the reviews that other people wrote about this as well, and you'll make your own decision on what you would like to do. Personally, I'm having a ton of fun with this thing. It's great. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Like the video if you like it, subscribe to the channel for more things like this, and I'll see you soon.